It's time for us at PhoneArena to clash the 4.7-inch iPhone 6 with Sony's flagship for the season, the 5.2-inch Xperia Z3. Sony's phone has a bunch of tricks up its sleeve that will help it against the popularity of the iPhone line, like a waterproof chassis, 20-megapixel camera on the back, and stereo speakers at the front. So let's brawl these two out and see who comes out on top. The Xperia Z3 is not a small phone for its 5.2-inch screen diagonal, especially when you compare it with some screen-to-phone size champs at the same display size. This is due to the fairly wide top and bottom bezels, which holds true for the iPhone 6 as well, but since it has a smaller screen, the iPhone 6 is still much easier to use with one hand against the Z3. Those comparatively wide bezels on the handsets are there for a reason though. In the case of the Z3, they house waterproof stereo speakers, while the iPhone 6 flaunts a state-of-the-art fingerprint sensor in the circular home key. The two phones are both rather razor-thin and pretty light, which helps acknowledging them as elegant despite the unimpressive screen-to-phone ratios. The iPhone has a finely crafted premium metal design, but Sony's creation with its rounded corners and glass chassis is a looker too, plus it sports a high IP68 waterproof rating, meaning that you can dunk it in fresh water at up to 5 feet. Looking around the sides, we find the signature OmniBalance design circular power key at the right of the Z3, which is a bit wobbly and requires you to bend your thumb to feel and press, while the lock key on the iPhone 6 is placed comfortably right under the tip of your thumb. The Z3 has a lot more going on the right side, as you can find a somewhat too thin volume rocker there, the micro SIM and micro SD slots, and the dedicated two-stage camera shutter key. Both the card slots and the micro USB port on the left are covered with protective flaps, ensuring the waterproof chassis. Looking at the premium glass or aluminum backs of the phones, what we don't like on both is the camera placement. It's in the upper left corner and too near the edge, very easy to cover with your fingers when filming. The iPhone 6 has a 4.7-inch panel, which has a lower pixel density compared to the Z3 5.2-inch one. But still, the pixel density on both displays is more than enough for any need, and small text as well as tiny details look sharp and discernible. The iPhone 6's screen colors are very accurate, while the Xperia Z3 not only has most of the colors out of whack, but its screen is very cold too. Granted, you can adjust the white balance of the Z3 panel from the display settings, done by boosting the intensity of the three basic colors, but it looks a bit artificial. On the other hand, Sony's Z3 display allowed it to achieve more than 700 nits of brightness in our measurements, which also results in better outdoor visibility than the iPhone 6. In addition, the new LED backlighting is even more power efficient than before, so the Z3 screen allows for some record battery life in the category, color credible or not. As for viewing angles, since we have quality LCD panels, both handsets are showcasing well here, with a slight advantage for the iPhone 6. Sony's 5.2-inch display can also be operated with gloves on in a super sensitive mode, which could come in handy during the winter months. Sony's Xperia interface has been on the company's Android phones for a while now and is one of the most functional and yet simplistic manufacturer overlays. It adds some light multitasking tools like the Small Apps suite, which lets you hover up to 5 windowed apps, resize and move them around. The iPhone 6 doesn't sport that kind of interface frivolity, but its polished control and notification centers are a joy to use, unlike Sony's archaic-looking connectivity switches in the notification bar. Apple's light approach to the widget system that can be found in the notification center is much more open now, allowing for third-party apps to occupy this space and push messages or interactive notifications to you. It is still not a functional match for Android's full-blown widget system that can be splashed all over numerous home screens though. The only thing resembling one-handed mode on the Xperia Z3 is the ability to shrink the keyboard to the left or right on the display, so you can reach the keys easier with your thumb only. The iPhone 6 on the other hand sports the so-called reachability mode, evoked by double-tapping the home key, which slides the whole upper part of the interface down, so you can easily key in that web address or email recipient without stretching all the way up. You can also swipe right from the left edge of its screen, and this gesture will serve as the back button in the respective app, instead of having to stretch all the way down to hit back on the Z3 for instance. You won't be asking for more power with these two, as they both have some pretty competitive processing muscle under the hood. The iPhone 6 is pushed by a 64-bit Apple A8 processor, clocked almost twice lower than the 2.5 GHz Snapdragon 801 in the Z3, yet showing comparable performance in synthetic benchmarks. The stock apps of iOS 8 are optimized for 64-bit computing, and the interface just flies seamlessly around no matter what you do, while the Z3's Xperia UI lags for a fraction of a second here and there. Apple doesn't list the amount of RAM in its phones, but third-party disassemble efforts pegged it at 1 GB, while the Z3 has 3 GB. That doesn't mean that you can't load tens of apps in the iPhone as well and go back and forth without issues. As for internal memory, the Z3 ships with 16 GB, of which 12 are user available, while the iPhone 6 has 16, 64 and 128 gigs configurations. Sony's phone, however, has a microSD slot for adding more storage on the cheap. Apple's Safari is a great browser when it comes to page rendering, introducing an easy-to-toggle reader view mode, which strips the websites of unnecessary distractions like pics and ads, leaving you with a clean, text-only article. You can't have Adobe Flash on it though, for those situations you might need it, but this can be remedied via some third-party iOS browsers. The only gripe we have with Safari is the scrolling inertia, which is far from the uninterrupted scrolling that happens in the stock Chrome browser on the Z3. Sony's phone also renders pages as a champ and offers smooth scrolling, panning and zooming. Chrome doesn't support Adobe Flash in its turn, but you can install another browser from the Play Store and sideload it from Adobe's website. When it comes to cellular connectivity, the iPhone 6 is the undisputed champ with support for no less than 24 LTE bands with up to 150 megabits per second download speeds, in addition to the 42 megabits per second HSPA Plus network support. Xperia Z3 also supports LTE connectivity, but mostly Asian and European spectrum. Both phones offer fast Wi-Fi AC, Bluetooth 4.0 radios, as well as assisted GPS, DLNA and NFC. Apple's proprietary NFC chip is locked exclusively for the new Apple Pay system, where you can purchase stuff with a tap of the phone on the point-of-sale terminal in places like Target or McDonald's, while the Xperia Z3 has the so-called Tap and Pay service, which lets you load third-party payment services like Google Wallet or PayPal, and it manages the NFC chip in accordance. Wired connectivity is presented by the site-agnostic Lightning cable on the iPhone 6, while the Z3 offers an MHL port for hooking up your TV directly. The larger screen of the Z3 is more conducive for general media consumption like watching movies or browsing photos, though the difference is no longer as stark as with previous iPhone editions, as the iPhone 6 now has a 4.7-inch panel. Both galleries offer grid thumbnail views and allow for rich picture editing from within the apps. The iPhone's video playback is quite a bit more limited than the video play on the Z3, as it doesn't support DivX XVD or MKV files out of the box, while the Z3 plays almost every format in up to 1080p resolution and offers extras like subtitle support, for instance. When it comes to the music players, we'd have to give one up for the Xperia phone again, as it has a sleeker interface with plenty of equalizer and visualization options built in. The Xperia Z3 also flaunts Sony's digital sound enhancement engine, which brags to upconvert crappy tracks to a higher resolution format. We can attest there's a slight difference, though not as stark as if the tunes were high quality in the first place. Sony offers two waterproof stereo speakers at the front, which sound clean but are somewhat muffled, while the iPhone 6 makes you wonder how did Apple fit such a strong, clean and high quality speaker in such a thin phone. Sony's flagship sports a 20 megapixel sensor like the Z2, but Sony touts improvements like new G-Lens optics and higher ISO. Apple also improved on the 8 megapixel iSight camera, introducing a new focusing system and new shooting modes. When it comes to speeds, the iPhone 6 camera records a shot and is ready for another one almost immediately. In fact, it is the fastest phone in that respect in all benchmarks. The Xperia Z3 is also rather quick to take a picture. And since there's a two-stage shutter button on the right, you can also set it to fire up the camera and take a picture from a lock screen in about a second or two. Besides a built-in time-lapse regime, the Z3 sports most shooting modes and manual adjustments that the iPhone has, such as panorama, real-time HDR for pics and video, and then some, like some other cool regimes, including background defocus, which aims to achieve the trendy shallow depth of field effect. The iPhone 6 shoots great photos with slightly warm but mostly accurate and pleasant colors and a fine amount of detail in all circumstances. The Z3 shoots 8 megapixel snaps in the default auto mode, and the level of detail is comparable. It manages to produce a tad more bland looking photos than the iPhone 6. The Z3 has some flare issues when shooting against a bright light source like the window or the sun. When it comes to indoor shots, color presentation stays mostly natural with the Z3, while the iPhone 6 tends to go on the warm side further. The images from the Xperia phone, however, look a bit too post-processed and a tad softer than they should be, while the iPhone manages to keep detail both distinctive and noise in check. Both LED flash modules are able to illuminate a small scene in an even manner, though the two-tone flash of the iPhone 6 appears to be slightly stronger, casting more light on the scene. The Xperia Z3 has an upper hand when shooting video, as it is capable to produce 4K footage with some serious levels of detail. It would heat up the phone and eat up your storage pretty fast though, and 1080p is more than enough for most purposes. The iPhone 6 is capable of shooting 1080p and with 60 frames per second at that, but also offers you the ability to do a time-lapse video out of the box, as well as slow-mo with 240 frames per second, which looks fantastic. The footage produced from both phones is fluid, without annoying artifacts and with good color presentation. The handsets also record great sound toward set video, clean, strong and absent of background noises if you start to comment on the footage from behind the lens. Both the iPhone 6 and the Xperia Z3 are the best efforts that design juggernauts like Apple and Sony managed to come up with this season, and there's no room for disappointment with either result. Thin and stylish, they look and feel premium in the hand, yet don't very different experiences. The iPhone 6 is more manageable in the hand compared to the larger Z3 and goes almost unnoticeable in your pocket. It also offers better camera than the Z3, especially for low light shots and a picture-perfect screen. To these advantages, we have to add the iOS ecosystem synergy that received a boost with the unique Apple Pay purchasing system, and the fact that the iPhone 6 will more than likely depreciate in value much slower than the Xperia Z3. Sony's phone, however, has a lot going for it that the iPhone doesn't offer, if you can stomach the larger size. Granted, you don't always need a waterproof device, or you might not care for the stereo speakers, but it's nice to know that these are there when you need them. We saved the best for last though, and it is the remarkable battery life of the Xperia Z3. Its 2-day battery promise holds true. It's the best in the flagship category for now, and this got confirmed through our own benchmarks. Thus, if you're tired of charging your smartphone each and every night, which will inevitably happen with the iPhone 6, the Xperia Z3 should be on top of your list. This was a video comparison between the Apple iPhone 6 and the Sony Xperia Z3. For more information about these and other handsets, you can visit us at PhoneArena.com.